If you ever wake up and feel like someone is watching you, or someone in a dream is trying to wake you up, don't ignore it. As this story shows, there might be a good reason to listen. 1917 in Whitby, a small fishing town on the north-east coast of England, and Mary Clarke, a beautiful young girl, quietly sang a song to herself as she brushed her long golden hair. She paused for a moment, putting down the brush. She picked up a small glass bottle off her desk, where she sat every morning by the window that looked out to the boats and the sea. She ran a thumb over the bottle's label as she pulled out the stop. Dr. Firth's Patent Hair Oil. She dabbed drops of oil all over her hair, and picked up the brush and started brushing again. 100 strokes every morning and every evening. Mary was well known in the town for her looks, but more so for her long golden hair. It was said that she would be able to have the pick of any man she wanted. Just then, she heard her father's voice calling up to her. She ran down the wooden stairs. Her father wanted her to take his dinner to the baker's, to use his oven to cook his food. This happened all the time in summer, as it saved on fuel at the home. She took the plate with his dinner that was covered by a cloth and walked out the door, closing it behind him, and walked up the cobbled street to the baker's. When she arrived, she said hello and asked how he was. The baker said he was fine, but he was too busy to put the food in the oven. But as she was here all the time, she could go right ahead and do it herself. She smiled and said that wouldn't be a problem. She removed the cloth and slid the plate onto the oven bed. But there wasn't much room in the oven, so she picked up the long metal oven hook and moved some bread tins to one side. But as she did this, it disturbed some embers near the oven door, which spat out and landed on the dress. Quickly, with a free hand, she patted them out. She didn't realise that one had landed in her hair, and with the oil she had used, her hair ignited immediately. She ran screaming from the shop, thrashing wildly. The baker ran after her, but he wasn't quick enough. The fire spread from her hair to the shoulders of her dress, and then she was all aflame, her clothes burning fiercely. She fell to the ground. The baker ripped off his jacket and beat out the flames. He scooped her up and ran for the infirmary on Grape Lane. She was dreadfully burnt, and as the baker hurriedly carried her, her burnt skin flaked off the poor girl. It is said that on the way to the hospital, the pair were followed by local dogs in the town, drawn by the smell, and followed barking and howling, wagging their tails. At the infirmary, the doctors did all they could, and the girl's father was sent for, but sadly, within the hour, the young girl passed away. And at her funeral, the mourners climbed the 199 steps to the church on her graveside, that stands looking over the town and the sea. Now, the story doesn't end there. Almost immediately after this tragedy, on occasions in the evening, the ghost of the young girl was spotted on Grape Lane, with reports saying that first a flame appears floating in the air, then an image of a girl, along with the sounds of crackling flames and the howl and barking of dogs. She is said to stand before you and silently look you in the eyes, before walking on and vanishing, leaving behind a smell of burning. In the 1930s, 20 years after the girl's death, a fire broke out at the Endeavour public house at the end of Grape Lane. burning it to the ground. Luckily, the family that lived and worked there got out unharmed. When they were asked how they escaped, the mother said she had been woken in the dead of night by a premonition or a dream of a beautiful young girl with long golden hair, shaking her over and over, almost pleading with her, telling her to go and save her children. The pub is still there, and yes, it is said to be haunted. Well, that'll about do it. But to let you know, if you have never been to Whitby, it is a lovely old and strange place. No matter which way you walk, you always feel you are walking uphill. With the ruins of the abbey and the atmospheric landscape, ghost stories are rife here. This is also the location, on a visit to the harbour town in 1890, Bram Stoker got his inspiration for his Gothic novel, and the very famous vampire Dracula. It's also said Dracula's grave is in the churchyard at the top of the hill, if you ever wanted to go and look for yourself. I think this story is quite sad, that she's potentially stuck reliving the worst moment of her life on a loop over and over. But also, to play devil's advocate, you can get strange mists from the sea. And if she is seen in the evening, that is when the sun is going down. And these streets are narrow with buildings that are of different sizes, creating gaps for the light to come through. So, just maybe, the floating flame is dying sunlight on the occasional perfect conditions with the sea mist. But if I ever see this apparition, I'll be sure to let you know. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for your support, and take care. If you are still listening, please don't go away. I'd like to take this moment to ask you if there's any stories you'd like me to cover, or if you have any personal stories you'd like to send in to me that I can record and then put out, crediting you of course. But please feel free to get in touch and send me anything you'd like to hear in my stories. Thanks again for your support. Take care.